Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. John will be kind enough to edit that first part out for me at the beginning of the video. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm Rick Tate, and I am the chairman of the Pickens County Republican Club. And we always start with a prayer. But actually a little bit of a quote, or not a little bit of a quote from Abraham Lincoln. I have gotten fond of this prayer and this quote. From Abraham Lincoln. Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. If you'll join me in prayer. Dear Lord, please bless our community, our state, and our country. We pray that you would always give us the guidance necessary to always be on your side. Amen. And if you would join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, guys. I used to do this from memory, but the older I get, the more I need a cheat sheet. We are the Republican Club. We are an auxiliary group sanctioned by the South Carolina Republican Party. And that being the case, I think I should include this. This is a South Carolina Republican creed. I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon. If I seek the opportunity, not security, I want to make the calculated risk to dream and build, to fail and succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for dole. I prefer the challenges of life to guaranteed security, the thrill of fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any master save my God. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud, and unafraid, to think and act for myself, enjoy the benefit of my creations, to face the world boldly and say, I am a free American. Words have power, and I think those have a little bit behind them. We always try to recognize elected officials, and we've got several in the room besides Senator Rice. We got Donna Rainey, who's on the Easley City Council. And where's Chris Clark? Chris Clark's here. She just went to get something to eat. She's also on City Council. There she comes back in the door. And April is also on City Council. So we've got almost half the City Council here tonight, as well as the former Mayor Butch Womack. So thank y'all for coming out. It's always nice to see our elected officials showing a little. Well, Nick. Yeah, we're real familiar with one another. Nick Caldwell is the commissioner, the elected commissioner for Easley. All those seats are at large. I'm sorry, Nick. You should have been the last one I forgot. Well, Clay is not, he is a candidate. Not elected yet. Clay counts, and this is my conscience over here talking if y'all didn't know. Clay Counts is running to replace Davy Height in the State House. So pay attention to Clay's campaign and advise your friends as you feel necessary or led to. Did I miss anybody else? Okay, thank you. So you should know a video of this meeting will be made available in the next day or two, as soon as Mr. Schaefer, our IT guy, gets around to editing and putting it up, making it available. It'll be available at PickensCountyTownHall.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, Pickens County Republican Club. And I would like to say that in the last year, we have pretty much doubled our following on Facebook. We are now over 1,000. Last time I looked, we were at 1,012. We broke 1,000 followers last week. So if you don't follow us, please do. We've got a lot of upcoming events. I usually do this at the end, but while I got your attention this time, I'm going to do it at the beginning. February the 5th, Fred West will be here. He's running for the State Agricultural Commissioner. February the 26th, and this will be here. All this will be here, these first two. David Pascoe, who is a candidate for State Attorney General to replace Alan Wilson, will be here. That's February the 26th. March the 19th. To the best of my knowledge, everything is set. I've been talking to Carla Kelly on the school board, and we have gotten we're going to use Forest Acres Elementary School, their auditorium and stage at Forest Acres, and we will have all three candidates for Attorney General will be with us. Stephen Goldfinch, David Stumpo, and David Pascoe. Try to say Stumpo and Pascoe real quick together. Anyway. That will be March the 19th, all three together. The only other thing I've got confirmed is May the 7th, Alan Wilson will be back with us again. So he's always a good speaker and very entertaining, and he is a candidate for governor. So now that we got the business out of the way, I'm going to introduce Mr. Rice. And Rex, I did a quick Google, and I didn't used to do this, but I think all of our elected officials, when they come to do this, you deserve to know a little background on them. So anyway, I'll give you a short one on Rex. Rex graduated from Christ Church Episcopal School and pursued further education at Anderson College and the University of South Carolina. Outside of elected office, Senator Rice is a businessman in the construction and development industry. He has served as president of Fontaine Construction Corporation and co-owner and president of Rice Cleveland Construction, among other business ventures. He's also active in civic organizations, including the Presbyterian Church, the Boy Scouts of America Advisory Board, the Salvation Army Advisory Board, and local agriculture groups. Rex served in the State House from 1994 to 2010 and was elected to the Senate in 2016 and has served on Education Committee, Judiciary, Labor, Commerce and Industry, Transportation, among others. Any of that I got wrong, feel free to correct. But Rex is here tonight to speak to us as a senator, but he's also here to present an award, the Lifeline Award, to the emergency response team. These guys sitting right here at ECU. And before I turn it over to Rex, I just want you to say I'm one of those customers that you service. And God bless you. I appreciate you. And when I rode around after Helene hit, I want to tell you, your job was not one I envied. Just looking at what you guys were up against, that was something. I've never seen anything like it around here. But anyway, with that, I will turn this over to Senator Rice, and he was here to present the award and to run a little town hall, answer your questions, and tell you what's going on in Columbia.
Can y'all hear me? John, you got the mic on me? Maybe a little loud. Is that just a little? I'd say turn it down just a little bit. How about that? That work? Anyway, thank you everybody for coming out. Rick, thank you. Thank you for what you do here. I know there's several meetings tonight, so we got a fairly small crowd here. But the first thing I want to do, first of all, you guys at Combined Utilities, thank you for what you do. We're going to do the award first. If you're tired of listening to me, you can get up and leave, and you will not offend me at all. They do this regularly at my house while I'm eating, so I'm used to people saying I'm had enough and go. But let me just back up, and I'm going to start on the 9th. Let's see, September 27, 24 was a Friday morning. And I don't know if y'all know where, if you remember where you were, but I do remember where I was. I got up early Friday morning and went to Bible study over at Smithfield's, and I lived just down the road, just down Powdersville Road here. And by the time I got over there and back to the house, there was a tree down on Sheffield. There was a tree down on Powdersville Road. I mean, pretty good sized trees out there blocking the road. And if I'm not mistaken, and y'all may want to correct me on this, 2 days earlier, late in the evening on Tuesday, there was a pretty good storm came through here. And I don't remember, did y'all have any outages then in that storm? I know it came across the northern part of Pickens County and hit downtown Greenville, if I remember right, because we actually were having an event up on Highway 11 right as it came through. But anyway, because of that event there, I had already thrown my chainsaw in the back of my truck. And as a matter of fact, I carried two of them a lot of times because I'll, stick the chain on the asphalt while I'm cutting something or whatever in the dirt. But anyway, as I came home and then went back out, those trees were down. The first thing I did was stop my truck, got out and started cutting saws, or got the chainsaw, started cutting trees. And, by the time I got going good, there was half a dozen people out there helping me move trees out of the way. And I'm sure these guys right here, not only do they do the water and the sewer, but they do the power, and that's their primary use. But people don't realize without power, the water plant's not going to run. There's pump stations out here. To get to y'all's house, probably a lot of you had to cut your way either into the house or out of the house that morning. And on top of that, you got power lines laying everywhere. So that event that morning, I got out and we got those trees out of the way. Never saw anybody, and I'm not complaining when I say this, never saw DOT, never saw any of the guys from the power company because they were sitting there fighting their fights over there. And people really came together that day. And it's kind of hard to believe it's only been, a year and 4 months since that happened. It seemed like a long time back. Now I'm talking back further than some of y'all probably even remember. But I'm going back to Hugo. I remember when it came through here, and it was a significant event. This event seems like to me and that it almost as far back as Hugo and on one side, but it's not. But what y'all did as far as getting out, cutting your way out, to get to where you were, to doing the job you did, getting the power back on. For 5 days, I never put a chainsaw down. Y'all probably never put a chainsaw down for 24 hours for 5 days or 6 days. You had to gather your, I don't know how many poles y'all had to replace, how many lines you had to get off the ground, but you had to find the poles first of all because everybody else was looking for them. We got a house up in North Carolina right between, it was close to Spruce Pine, the other side of Asheville. And when we got the power back on here, we went up there. A few days later, we still were without power up there 3 or 4 weeks on that one. And that was a big deal right there, is getting those poles in here because everybody's hunting them. I don't know if anybody looked at a satellite view of the United States after Helene came through. But it was really it was just a whole dark area coming out of the Gulf all the way up through here. So you can imagine, and these guys know, but I'm talking to the rest of you, you can imagine the resources that everybody was going after to try to get the power back on. And y'all did an outstanding job on that. A lot of you probably didn't see your family for weeks. I know when I got through over here, I was doing some work closer to town up there, and I know there was some significant damage there. Y'all got out and we're putting the power back on. I know it was probably a Friday or Thursday evening after that, the next week. You had all the lines energized out there. And there was a 95-year-old man sitting on his front porch out there. And then this kind of got me. But sitting on his front porch and the lights were on everybody's house but his. And I don't remember who I called. I may have called Jonathan or somebody like that. And I said, why can't we turn his power on? So, well, the city's got him, they got him marked as do not turn his power on. I don't know, I may have called you, Alex. I think I did. And I said, what's going on? And he said, well, power, they won't let it turn on. What's wrong? He said, there's a tree laying on his house. There's a tree laying on everybody's house. I said, listen, there's nothing wrong with his power. Let's get it turned back on. In about 10 minutes, y'all had the power turned back on. But we appreciate what you have done. You've gone above and beyond the call of duty, without a doubt. And Rick, the Republican Club has decided to give this whole response crew, and I say that, it's the whole team of combined utilities. It's not only the power, but it's the water, the sewer. It's the service y'all provide, because, you know, we don't realize it until the power doesn't come back on. You know, when we go in there and flip a switch, I kind of got disappointed. I think y'all turned my power back on, not that Friday, but the next Friday. And I came in there and hit a light switch and the power came on, or maybe, probably not, it's probably the whole house lit up because we had every light switch in the house. It was almost disappointing to get the power back on. I don't know if anybody felt like that. We were kind of starting to live that way and enjoying it. Of course, the good part was we weren't having to pay a power bill yet. But we want to present Combined Utilities with the Community Lifeline Award for serving this community so well. And we've got, Rick, go ahead and bring that up. I don't know, you want to bring the whole team up here? How you want to do that, Andy?
Bring them up afterwards to get a picture if that's all right.
Okay. Well, yeah, Andy, obviously you were the leader of the pack, but then you got your commissioners and these guys, and as it works in great companies, the leader's right here.
Right.
You just work for them. So, but I want to give you this, and Rick, you want to get in this too, and.
Come here and take it. Well, she's getting the picture. You can send it to. You can send it on.
Andy, I'm gonna say this. It's a pretty nice little deal. It's got a light bulb on it, but y'all have still got a job. You got to run power to it. I don't know if you want to do that now or later on. But thank y'all for what you do. We appreciate you, and we are here for you because y'all are there for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You want to say something? You want to go?
Yeah, come on.
Now set that down and listen. Let me get you the microphone, Andy. Let me turn this on for you. Use that. If you don't use this, it won't be on the video.
Yeah, okay. I did jot down a few things just in case you surprised me with it or something, so and I didn't want to forget
That doesn't surprise me. Andy and I have known each other a long time, especially in Rotary.
Right.
Now, are you going to lead us off with a joke or not?
no jokes. No jokes.
No jokes. All right.
I will say one. I do think it's first of all, thank you, Rick. Thank you for the Republican Club. This is a great honor, and on behalf of not only these men, but the men and women that couldn't make it tonight. Thank you all for letting us crash your party as well. I told the guys, I said, listen, if y'all come at 5:45, I will personally buy your supper. And I thought 4 or 5 would come, and here we are. And I also think it's appropriate that I do not personally know Representative Norman, but the fact that he couldn't be here, but that you are presenting this to us as a local legislator, and all the work that you did with us during the hurricane. I think it's very appropriate that you gave that to us as well. I don't want to jinx it, but we've officially gone approximately 1 year, 3 months, 2 weeks, a day, and 12 hours since the last hurricane. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that's the last one we'll see at least in our lifetime. I do have a few things that I want to bring up, not only community-wise, but ECU team-wise, that I think is important to know. Maybe a little behind-the-scenes look at what happened that week. A couple of stats you asked: 83 poles, 80 transformers. 83 poles were down. I didn't know this until the storm. I'm still kind of new to the job, but it takes, Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, on a perfect situation, it takes about 4 hours to replace a pole in a perfect situation. So you can imagine the work that went on for 83 polls. Roughly 90%, 92% of our customers were out at one time, something that's unheard of for this part of the woods. But this award's not just an acknowledgement of our team, but it's from the community as well. You touched on it, Rex. It was, from a community standpoint, there's so many things that we could point out. One thing is we normally have 4 crews, electric crews. We had to get 8 crews from North Carolina, Florida, Michigan, Missouri, and Alabama to come help. That's a lot of people trying to coordinate. Jonathan did a lot of the coordinating, most of the coordinating, and did an unbelievable job. Great attitude. Never saw him get frustrated, except for with me a few times, for me asking so many questions. We had daily calls with our local legislators. Not only did they want information, but they were a big help of where to place generators and where this subdivision is still down. What's the word? We have a 95-year-old person on the front porch. When are you going to get to them? That kind of thing. They were truly a help during the time. The city of Easley, every time I called Tom Couch, he answered the phone no matter what time it was. He provided police presence when we needed police presence on roads, unruly people, whatever. He was there. And he's been part of this utility before in another life, and it was very helpful that he was able to, every time I called, he said, I'm sending someone. And it's just like that, he did it. There were many individuals, companies, churches. Chris Clark is part of a church that fed us a couple times. They donated prepared food, snacks, and drinks. I was getting a little worried. We were getting so much food and drinks. I was thinking we may be, hope we're not trying to prolong this so they could keep eating good. But it was amazing to see. One thing that was really cool, we had 2 ladies that volunteered to do laundry for the out-of-town crews. They brought their dirty laundry to the warehouse in the morning, and then at night when they came to eat supper, they'd pick up their clean laundry. I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't even think of that. They came up with that on their own. So post-storm, we were flooded with thank you notes. Some elementary schools drawing pictures, you name it. And then the patience of all of our customers. Well, 98% of our customers is very much appreciated. Nobody likes to get their house, or nobody likes to get their power out in their house, but I think once everybody got out and rode around, they realized the devastation and had 98% of us gave us some grace for a while. And to be honest with you, the other 2% that came around at the end, I think. So, now from an internal standpoint, just real briefly, I was going to have them stand up to let you know that I think we know who works at Easley Combined here and who doesn't tonight. But I did want to just briefly say each department kind of what they did, or at least some of it. And this is not inclusive. I actually jotted down a bunch right after the storm, and I whittled that down to a few things here. Of course, the electric department, you know what they did. They worked their tails off night and day. They didn't complain. They didn't see their families. Most of them didn't have power at their own house. They had to incorporate the out-of-town crews into their teams, had to show them the ropes and show them where to go. And like I said, never saw them complain or get frustrated. It was almost a sickening thing to watch because it's almost like they enjoyed working crazy hours and working on that stuff. The water and sewer department, these guys were kind of like the lead blockers. They went ahead of the electric department and cleared off the roads, removed some of those trees to get there. You asked about the Wednesday night before the storm. We had rain, and that did not help matters. It was a lot of rain between then and Friday. Scott, 11 inches of rain that hit the plants and the lines. And so there were a lot of water lines, some sewer breaks that they had to work while they're clearing the road as well. And then afterwards, they picked up the damaged equipment that the electric department moved to the side, which was a big help. The office staff, Assisted with preparation, serving, cleanup of lunch and dinner. There's usually about 80 or 90 men that they had to feed, lunch and supper. They delivered lunch to the crews. The servicemen ran errands and gathered material for the electric department. IT, they actually did some site surveying for the electric department. There wasn't a whole lot of computer work that could be done at the time, and you asked about the Wednesday before storm. Well, just so happened the storm was bad enough to pretty much knock out our phone system on Wednesday night, and we were scrambling to try and figure out how to get phones working. Cell phones weren't working, y'all remember that? It was rough, and what was weird was, to me, is the only way we could communicate with the outside world was through Facebook. So we did that. It was a little weird, I guess a sign of the times, but that's how we got it out. Water treatment plant, they answered phone at all hours of the day and night. Every morning, I would get a notebook paper that was probably 5 or 6. I'll start over. They had a notebook paper of 5 or 6 pages where they had listed what the phone calls were and even starred the ones that said, hey, we called someone, made sure that this one got high priority, and we're worried about this. The wastewater plant, not only did they have to deal with 11 inches of rain and I that came into the plant, but they had a lot of trees and debris in the plant-wise, too, that they had to clear to get to that. Commissioners, they played a lot of defense and interference for us. They fielded calls from customers. They came and helped serve food to the crews. They supported us. They did radio interviews, so we didn't have to. Always supported, but very much so during that time. And then the engineering department, they delivered meals. They did site surveying. They also did move generator from pump station to pump station. We have 22 pump stations, 24 pump stations. And when you don't have any power, that's a problem with the sewer, with the pump station. So they were making sure that the generators were in the right spots at the right time to make everything flow in the right way. And that's just scratching the surface. I missed a lot, but that 1 week, I am forever grateful for not only these guys, but the community. And I appreciate Pickens Republican Club for this award for sure. And I'll leave you with this. My electric department, Jonathan Wright, my supervisors, raise your hand so they know you're. That's Jonathan Langston. So he has a picture in his office. He doesn't know I'm going to say this. So. And you only have one picture hanging up in your office. And it's of a buffalo. And one time I asked him, I said, why do you have a buffalo picture? Are you a big buffalo fan or whatever? And he told me, I quote, when a storm comes, the buffalo is the only animal that will turn and charge directly into that storm. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I was like, I believe that's a fitting picture for not only his department, but for our community as a whole. So I appreciate the award. I appreciate the time. And thank you, Senator. And get to the good stuff now.
Let me say a word before I turn it back to you.
Sure.
Thank you, Andy. Andy, what is your title? What is your title?
General Manager.
In case anybody doesn't know this, watches this video later, this is Andy Civic. He is the general manager of ECU, and you forgot to tell him who you were. That's the only thing. And there's something else, a little bit of information, that little housekeeping I need to do here before I turn it back to Rex. I didn't want anything but the ECU folks and all this at the beginning of the program, so I'll say this now. I didn't find out until late yesterday evening, that Congressman Ralph Norman wouldn't be here tonight. And Rex stepped in at the last minute to do this. So he deserves extra thanks for that. And I spoke with Congressman Norman's spokesperson, and the reason he couldn't be here was there was a congressman died over the weekend from California who I'm afraid I'll get his name wrong, so it's a congressman from California. God rest his soul. He passed away over the weekend. And they had a vote today in Washington on extending the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act of Obamacare. And the leadership wanted him to be there for the vote, so he couldn't come. That's the reason he's not here. So with that said, you want to get a picture with all these guys before we sit down? You want to do that before we?
Why don't we go ahead and do that? So if they need to go home, because some of them.
Wait to hear what you have to say.
Some of them have to get, some people go to work before 9:30 in the morning.
I just thought I'd throw that out there. If you guys want to come up here.
For Nick.
That's handy.
Get this out of the way for right now.
All right, great job. Yep.
I'll get in the back.
I'll get in the back. I wasn't even here when this all happened.
I don't know who's got a camera that can hold it.
So where's,
One, two, three. Say cheese. Cheese. All right, one more for good luck. Very good. Thank you, guys.
great work.
Oh, Donna, wait, the news is here. Oh, okay. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
That's it. I thought we done.
We got one more. Another one in on us.
Where's April? Oh, there you go.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Very good. One more. Chris, move your head over.
Guys, what's the more fun, posing for pictures or fixing the power?
Walking people. All right, there we go.
Waking everybody up there?
Yes, sir, appreciate it. Thank you for what you do. Yeah, y'all be good. Thank you. Appreciate you very much.
Very nice meeting you.
Good to see you. All right. You ready? All right. Before I forget, turn that down just a little bit, John. How about 1, 2, 3? Is that good? Okay. Yeah, before I forget, there's legislative manuals for 2025. We just got them, so I've got a whole, that's not all I have. I've got plenty of them, so anybody that wants one is welcome to it. Obviously, probably everything that's in that book is on the internet now, so they used to be a lot more important. But it's still nice to have one if you, want the kids to do something. I know that's around my house. We got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. The 3-year-old is always grabbing them, or the 5-year-old is grabbing them and pulling them out and looking. the cool thing is in the back, it talks about all the state bugs and all that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, I'm going to, Rick hit me kind of cold on this, and so all I'm going to do is just kind of talk on some points, and I'm going to let y'all ask me questions, and if you ask me the wrong question, there's a door right there, and I'll let Rick answer it. But, you know, from a, and I'm just going down the list of stuff that I know that's going to be dealt with this year, and I say dealt with, that doesn't mean we're going to solve it, but we'll be talking about it. And the one thing from a Republican standpoint, the registration by party, we've been talking about that for years. I've had bills that I have introduced over the years. You know, apparently we're getting some more movement. I think Rick and you and I talked about that some of the other counties are getting that. The registration by party, one thing that has been kind of holding us up is not Pickens County and not the upstate, but the low country down around Charleston. A lot of people down there don't want registration by party, and they say it affects them from a business standpoint, because if you become registered one way or the other, people won't deal with you. But now I think we got some in Beaufort maybe, or anyway, one of the coastal, and I'm gonna call it low country counties that's now talking about it, which helps us up here. State retirement, the one thing that has been a constant since I've been there. Of course, I got elected in '94. By the way, Rick, I appreciate you going back and doing all that research on me. Don't do it again, please. It makes me feel a lot older than I really am. But it has been an honor to serve Pickens County, both in the House for 16 years, and then some of you know I ran for Congress in 2010, and I tell people I was successfully not elected, so I didn't have to go to Washington. So obviously Jeff Duncan got elected and went up there, and then in 2016, you know, I couldn't. Beaufort County. But, you know, when Jeff decided he wasn't running again, some people asked me if I was going to run, and I didn't even have to question myself. I said, no, I'm not going to do it, because running for Congress is a tough job. You have to cover a lot of ground. The 3rd district goes all the way from Aiken County, or it did back then. It's changed a little bit from Aiken to Caesar's Head. So you can imagine having a meeting in Aiken in the morning and at lunch at Caesar's Head, or not Caesar's Head, but up in that way. But it is an honor to represent the people of Pickens County, and now Greenville County. I've got part of that too in the district I represent. But we do have the highest point in South Carolina, Sassafras Mountain. I always brag about that. Somebody asked me the other day, what is the one thing you think about the district, or what do you, if somebody said, tell me about your district, I think about the beauty that we've got here, the lakes we've got, the mountains, just how wonderful this county is, and how the people of this county are so good. It's different here in Pickens, and I enjoy being here in Pickens. I'm a newcomer to Pickens. I've only been here, well, let's see, 44 years, I believe. So, and my grandmother was actually born downtown Easley in 1894. So right there behind Robinson's department store. So I've got a little bit of roots here that go back. But anyway, the retirement cap on the state employees, right now they're limited to $10,000. If you want to drive a school bus, if you work for DOT and you retire and you want to drive a school bus for the county, you can only make $10,000 a year. I don't understand that. I've got a bill in there to change that. They don't get to collect their retirement on what they're running on the $10,000 cap. And what difference does it make? Actually, I think it helps the system to have retired employees in there, and they're paying into the system, but they're not collecting anything. They can't make me understand the math on that. Anyway, I'm trying to get that raised. I've got one here that people look at me weird when I say this, but you know, we talk about the rain clouding, cloud seeding, if y'all are familiar with that, altering the weather with chemicals in the atmosphere. That's a bill we actually are getting a little traction on right now, and it sounds crazy. And all my bill says is that you can't do it in South Carolina. We don't want chemicals put in the sky above us that come down and get in our waters or get in our gardens or whatever else. And you think that they're not doing it? Well, I got a bill out there. We had a hearing on it, and we got an email that came from a company called Rainmaker that said, please exclude us because we're cloud seeding. So they are doing it. And there's questions about what the federal government may be doing or what their projections are. They're trying to affect global warming. And I know it sounds conspiracy theorist, but I think there's issues. And all I'm saying is just if you're not doing it in South Carolina, it's not a problem. But if you're going to do it in South Carolina, don't do it here. Because we don't, a couple of the states, Florida's passed it, Tennessee's passed it. The abortion issue, I believe life begins at conception. We've had a bill out there on that. We've had some very strong debate on it. We've had hours and hours of testimony. Right now that bill is stalled in committee, but I do think we'll be dealing with that again this year. Roads and bridges. Obviously we had and I think most people know that we had a bridge collapse over QE, and thank goodness nobody got hurt or killed. How that happened, how nobody got hurt or killed is amazing on that, because there were cars. The truck went over, it collapsed behind the truck. I think there were some Duke Energy trucks up there that were going along, saw it collapse. There was a lady following them, and she just saw them swerve, and she missed going in the hole in the lake. So we're very fortunate nobody got hurt, but we've got a lot of bridges in this county, in this state, that need to be fixed. Pickens County's got the worst bridges in the state, and so we are the poster child for bad bridges right here. We're putting more money in there. We will put more money in the budget. Traffic congestion, the traffic circle that we put in right here at Smithfields, personally, I think it's worked quite well. I don't know. I haven't seen it back up other than one time. I did see it back up several months back, and I was sitting at Rotary and talking about it with Mario, by the way, and this young intern for the city was in there, and I started talking about it backing up. I said there was cars in it just going round and around, and she started laughing, and she said, "Yeah, we like to go do that." So they'll race around the circle, so it'll back up from time to time with some young, energetic folks getting in the traffic circle and doing it 5 or 6 times around. But other than that, it hadn't backed up. We do have another project that is a much more complicated project. It's at, trying to think of the road name. Help me. Olive, thank you. That one needs to be done. I'm still trying to get money. We did not have earmarks last year, and I support earmarks for certain reasons, and it is traffic congestion. We've brought money in to get this one done. We got some money. I think we got maybe $1.5 million sitting there, and it's just I need to get some more earmark money for that. And so, earmarks is a bad thing, but if you use them for the right thing. Not a green bean museum, y'all probably have heard that before, but something that helps everybody. That's what we need to do. Growth in the state. We talk about that all the time. We talk about annexation. I've got a bill down there that says that basically the cities and the counties need to coordinate when you're going to do annexation. I know we've got. Right now, I think there's several requests in for annexation. I think you have to look at that carefully. There's some annexations that probably should occur. And I'm going to just give you an example for, let's say the Presbyterian Home out here wanted to add an additional area that they don't have in their property that's in the city right now. And they say, we need to add another 50 residents. And we're going to buy the property behind us. We need to annex that into the city because to get water and sewer, you have to annex. So, it's something like that. But if you're going to annex, 500 home subdivision, that's a different story. So you have to look at it differently. And thank goodness That's not something we do at the state. We do set standards for it, but we don't have to look at every project individually. Power, not having brownouts and blackouts. I mean, we talked about being out of power for a while, but it came back on. But with the data centers that are out here, and I mean, everybody loves their telephones, and everybody's got to have data somewhere, and it's got to be stored somewhere. But if you start bringing these data centers in, one data center, and y'all, the engineers can help me on that, but one data center can take as much as 150,000 homes in power. So they need to bring in their supporting power production, I'm gonna call it that. I know VC Summer, I think it's 2 and 3, that the failed power plant, that apparently that's gonna maybe get back up and running again. So we got a chance there to pick up some power, but with the growth we've got, we're gonna need it just for the residential growth. Now, everybody obviously is using light bulbs that don't work now, but I'm just picking on the little things not plugged in there. But I love these forever light bulbs that you can buy that are low energy, and I put them in, and next year they're burned out, and I said, what's going on there? But a lot of us like the traditional light bulbs. Federal government, the debt at the federal level, that is a very serious concern of mine. We feel like they need to have a constitutional amendment to balance the budget in Washington. Also, I support term limits for those in Washington. And I'm talking about reasonable term limits. I mean, those that have been there too long need to go. Of course, everybody says, I want everybody else to go other than my representative in some cases. But, it depends on what you're doing and how good you're doing up there. But if you go to Washington and make $100 and something thousand a year, and you come out of there a billionaire, a millionaire, there's something going on there that I can't say what because I never got there. But outreach of the federal government, I know right now DOT, we're doing a DOT reform bill. Some of the federal government overreach to me is environmental. Let South Carolina do what South Carolina thinks we need to do, and forget about California when it comes to environmental in South Carolina, because even what's in the upstate and what's in the low country is different. So we need to, I know on the DOT reform, one of the things that they're talking to me about is allowing DOT to do their own environmentals, which will speed up projects that we've got. You always talk about how slow the project is, and that's part of it. Legislative pay, this is a good one. Everybody hears, we make too much money in Columbia. Our base pay is $10,400 a year. We take out insurance, taxes, parking in the garage, and retirement. If some of them are on that, some of them don't. But my net take-home pay for that $10,400 a year is about $2,200 for the whole year. So, if we're overpaid, so be it. I mean, there's a lot of people think we're well overpaid. We did have an effort to raise an in-district expense account. In other words, when you're in district during the week, everybody got a flat $1,000 a month extra over their regular pay, which paid for just traveling around the district, doing things in the district. There was an effort to raise that to $2,500. It passed. It was in the budget. It was challenged in court. So the increase, it was a $1,500 increase. So it took it to $2,500 in the court challenge. Not only did we lose the $1,500, but we also lost the original $1,000. So, like I said, if you think we are paid too much, I mean, that's good. That's your good opinion or your opinion. My suggestion would be to pay the legislators the same thing as the lowest tier state employee, which would be some, the custodial staff and people like that. And I think that would be reasonable. With that, I'm going to stop, and see who's got questions, because I'm sure there's got to be one out there I don't want to answer.
I'll be glad to pass it around. I got one real quick, short one.
You can't ask me.
Yeah, I can. Have you seen the pictures that have been up on social media of the bridge on Sheriff's Mill Road and it's held up with telephone poles? You're in construction. Is that as rickety looking to you as it is to me? I mean,
Well,
it just,
Rick, to answer your question, the majority of our bridges that were built in that era
Uh-huh.
are on telephone poles. The one out here at the aerial mill that was shut down for a while. the
what
pole-
era was that? I mean, was it like
Probably
the
in
50s?
Late 50s, early 60s. The bridge that collapsed on Kiwi was
Uh-huh.
on telephone poles. And I'm getting into technical issues, but I think the pile cap on that, and those are called pilings, by the way. The pile cap, I think, started rotating back and forth when the trucks were going over it, and I think it just snapped it off.
I
That's
guess my
opinion.
suggestion would be, or my inference was with the question, or with the remark would be, as we fix these bridges, maybe we need to go back with some concrete and rebar.
Well, we are.
Okay, good deal.
So there's a new technology since the 50s, believe it or not.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Virginia King
Yes, ma'am.
from Easley. You said that you were for the term limits for Washington. How
Yep.
many terms would you like?
I think 16 years, either in the House or the Senate. In other words, you could do, I mean, that's a long time.
I'm going to say that may be too long.
It may be too long, but what you don't want to do, and some of these states have passed term limits statewide to 4 and 6 year terms. And what happens is you end up with the bureaucrats running the show. Because can you imagine the chairman of a finance committee only having 4 years of experience, and he's only got 2 years left? So it takes, 12 to 16 years is what I think is reasonable in each body.
Anybody else? You go. Do I have a pen? Not on me.
Hey, Senator Rice, thank you. I'm Dina Christophic. Is that on?
Yes, I'm speaking.
Okay.
If you're closer, speak up.
Deanna Christophic from Pickens County. I was going to ask you about the bills. You said you had one for the cloud seeding?
Yes.
And I don't have a pen to write it down. But if you could maybe tell us what that House bill number is, do you know?
It's a Senate bill, and I believe it's
Senate bill.
110. I've got several bills, but I think that is 110.
110?
Yeah, and if you go on the internet, I'm pointing my manuals up here, you can go under my name, and you can pull me up, and you can look at all the bills that I'm the primary sponsor on. And then if you click it again, you can go on everything that I'm a sponsor on, either primary or
Okay, so
co-sponsor.
So you're the primary sponsor on the cloud seeding one?
That's correct.
And do you have any that you're co-sponsoring that have to do with the Parental Rights Act? Anything with parental rights?
I don't think so, but I'd have to go back and look.
Okay.
I don't recall one right off.
All right, thank you.
I am really curious to see what happens with the closed primary. That's been on my wish list. School choice, Nick. School choice and closed primary has been on my wish list for decades now. With 55 co-sponsors in the House on their bill and a dozen or more in the Senate, you think it's actually got a shot this time around?
I think every bill's got a shot. It
Right.
just takes a while.
Yes, sir.
And I go back and I tell, when I first got elected, and this is going back in the 94, 95 range, one of my pet peeves was cars driving around with no tag on the back of them at all. Well, what I found out when I got there, of course, when you're running for office, you got all these grand ideas, and when you get there, you start learning about things. So what I found out is that it was legal to drive with no tag for 45 days. And the law enforcement officer couldn't stop you because if you had the bill of sale in the car, you could drive for 45 days, but he couldn't stop you because it was profiling to stop cars that had no tags. So I put in something that said, you got to put a tag on the car, and literally with a piece of cardboard and a magic marker that says the date you bought the car on it. That had to be on the back of the car. It took me 6 years to get that passed. Now, we've evolved since then because now you can't drive one without and it was dangerous for law enforcement because they didn't know who they were stopping. Now, the way we've got them, and it's evolved over time, but now if you buy a car, you got to go up to the DMV and get a temporary tag, or the dealer can issue one, so that when that law enforcement officer stops that car, there's a number on it. It's in a database, and he knows who he's dealing with.
And you're absolutely right. My family was in the car business. I wrote a bunch of those bill of sales, and you could drive. It must have changed to 45 days. My memory was 30 days, but whatever. But I wrote a bunch of them. You're right. You could ride around with a bill of sale, and that's all you had to have.
Yep.
What about all these dealer tags you see out here? They couldn't possibly all be legit, could they?
You're talking about the metal dealer tags that they move from car to car while they're test driving it.
No. These are people who own cars and they say, dealer tags, property, whatever, they don't have to pay taxes. And I know they're not on dealer.
I can tell you this from my family, but my grandfather had a car lot at the bottom of the hill down behind Amici's from the 40s into the 60s, and my dad, anyway, you got to have garage liability insurance, and it's not cheap. And you have to have your books inspected. I mean, I can remember, I don't know who does it now, but when I was growing up, a state trooper would come to our house or to the business every year and inspect the books. So it's not as easy as you might think. And you do have to have garage liability to have unless it's changed. That's the way it was. I
think it's very similar to that. It depends on how many car dealers you've got in the area and where you are. You may see, because they'll put one on a car while they're test driving it.
These are people who have their own personal cars and.
I don't disagree with you. I see some that they'll drive that car for maybe a few months, and then swap to another car or whatever. But they're supposed to be controlled. I'm gonna tell you that. So.
Anybody else have a question? Okay, Dawn, introduce yourself.
No, they do. We're good. Will you please explain to these guys the annexation bill so they don't have a meltdown and think that they're going to lose all annexations from this point on?
The bill that I've got introduced is basically, it's a very simple bill. It's if the city of Easley decides that they want to pass this legislation, it's per municipality. So my bill is voluntary. Originally, it's voluntary. In other words, it's not mandating that any city like Greenville versus Easley could do it. Greenville doesn't have to do it, but it allow the council to set up a agreement with the county. And if I say something here that doesn't make sense to you, let me know. But the city council could set up an agreement with the county council to, anytime they want to annex, go to that county council and say, all right, we're going to annex. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's why we're going to do it. Here's what we're going to do about infrastructure, so forth and so on. But have that agreement in place so that year in and year out, anytime the city of Easley wants to annex, they would get approval from the county to do that. Does that explain it pretty well? Okay. Well, it's, there again, the council has to pass it. So if you got a council that says we want to put this agreement in place with the county, you can do that.
I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Well, I guess with that, if you got any closing remarks you'd like to make?
I'm here for you. My cell phones, I think both of them actually are listed in the book and on the internet. You're welcome to call me anytime. I just prefer, I'm getting older, and so I try to go to bed by 9 or 10 o'clock. I should have mentioned, I mentioned this to Andy a minute ago. I said if I say something that doesn't sound right, or if I seem a little tired or whatever, I was hanging out with a bunch of college kids last night over at Clemson watching a ball game. So the tip-off wasn't until 9 o'clock last night. So, and I got home at midnight. So that is not my normal. And by the way, I went to work about 6:15 that morning. So I went home today and I said, God, Ruth, I'm tired. And she says, well, you started at 6 in the morning, you got home at midnight. And you're getting old. So.
And Clemson won the game, right?
And Clemson won the game.
Go Tigers.
And I had to stick around. to the end of the game because it was a close game. It was a great game.
Is it SMU?
SMU. And I tell you what, did anybody watch the game?
I read the highlights, but I didn't see the
I'm
game.
going to tell you what, you had to see this. I think SMU's got a guy from, I don't know if it's Russia or where he's from. He's 7'2" tall. He reaches up and touches the goal standing on the floor. I mean, basketball has changed. Football has too, but I mean, you know.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming out. And one more time, you guys, like I said, I live in the city limits, and I was one of those people without power. And tell one on Andy that he told me a while ago on coming in. I was giving him a compliment on the communication during when the power was out and we're trying to get it back on. And I'm like, I was going to Facebook and really, I don't know who's on Facebook giving us updates, but that was kind of took the pressure off because you could see where you guys were working and where you were going to be next and what you got turned back on. I said it made it a lot easier to deal with, and he said, well, that was me, on Facebook. He hired a lady, or was in the process of hiring a lady to take care of all that stuff, but she didn't start till right after y'all got all the power turned back on. But the communication goes a long way. Facebook might not be the ideal fallback position, but it worked, and we were able to keep up with what was going on. Yes, Chris?
I have one more question.
Sure.
I was afraid of this.
Don't be scared. As a legislator, you mentioned in that book you have 2 phone numbers listed.
Yep.
Your personal and your state given?
Well, actually, there's more than 2. I've got 2 cell phones, believe it or not, and I've listed both cell phones in there. And the reason I did that, it started back, I used to have a flip phone. Mm-hmm. In my other world, I'm in the construction business. And I spend a lot of time down in the ditches. I mean, I'm down now to a one-man show where I run the track hoe, and then I get in the ditch and dig. And I had a flip phone that I could drop in the sewer and pick up and use. But when I got the iPhone, I didn't want to drop it in the sewer. So I had 2 phones. So anyway, both my cell phones are in there.
Okay, well, here's the question. You are a state legislator. You are an elected official.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to sign any AUP?
What is the AUP?
An AUP?
Yeah.
An acceptable use policy where they can come in there and look at anything that you have as a representative of this area. Can they go into all your emails and print them off? Can they look at your personal computer and your personal phone because you're doing business on that? Is that something that happens in the state, or is that only a policy that's right here in the city?
I'm not aware of that at the state. I do know that anything that I do, I'm not worried about it because anything that I do I feel is public. And if somebody wants to look at what I'm doing, they're more than welcome to do that. I don't.
But you didn't have to sign anything.
I didn't sign an agreement to that effect. Let me rephrase that. I didn't run something by an attorney to say, should I sign it? I may have signed something. You might be able to find it. But I feel like that anything that I'm doing, is public knowledge. Even on my phones, I don't have a problem handing them to certain people or to anybody that asks. So.
Anybody else? Well, you can say you stayed until nobody had any questions left to ask. Thanks for coming back, and seriously, if you don't follow our Republican Party club, Pickens County Republican Club is the name of the Facebook page, and you can go there and keep up with all the upcoming events, and if you're interested in coming and seeing all 3 at one time of the candidates running for Attorney General, that's coming up in March. And the other stuff coming up will be on there too, as I get it confirmed. Anyway, go there. It'll be there. Just check it every once in a while. Take a look. And on behalf of John in the back, who doesn't get enough recognition, he does all the IT stuff, and I thank John for what he does. Anybody that would like to volunteer and come help us put this stuff up and tear it down and put it back in John's van or take it out at times, feel free to come and join, Send me go to the club page and send me a private message. We're glad to have you. Anyway, good night. Have a good evening. Be careful going home.
Rick, if anybody has any questions they didn't want to ask.